Welcome or welcome back to the Martial Archives. I'm Dave Kipper, and it's great to be here. Have you ever been choked? Do you like to be choked? Do you like to choke people out? Have you ever been strangled? The following little article appeared in the Campbell Post in August of 1939, although it actually cites an authority from Collier's Weekly. The headline reads, quote, "Rough on Jiu-Jitsu students. Before a Japanese completes his 3-year to 5-year course in jiu-jitsu, in order to become a trainer, he is obliged to experience the sensation of being choked into insensibility, according to an authority in Collier's Weekly. If it does not happen to him in a contest, his own instructor does the job on graduation day. Now that's cool." Unquote. Now that's cool. I've heard plenty of stories about instructors deliberately choking students unconscious. The most famous is that of American judoka Gene LeBell choking volunteers out at his seminars. I've seen people go unconscious during training, and I've been put to sleep myself. It happens. Usually, it's an accident. Someone doesn't tap quickly enough, or a choke comes on faster than expected. But in the context of this article, it's something different. It's part of the graduation process, a rite of passage. And if you think about it, lots of martial arts have their own version of that rite of passage. I remember my promotions in karate. At the end of a successful test, that is, if you made it through the test, the instructor would deliver what we called a chi blow, a punch to the solar plexus. You'd brace yourself in a horse stance, and when you got hit, you'd ki-eye, and you really felt it. Of course, the instructor adjusted the power depending on the rank. The higher the belt, the harder the punch. In Danzan-ryu Jiu-Jitsu, at least at the Nibukikan in Chico, California, where I trained, if you were promoted, then everyone in the dojo would throw you with a judo nagewaza. By the end of it, you really knew how to fall. In Aikido, where I studied, there wasn't a particular graduation ritual beyond the test itself, but those tests were pretty exhausting. The karate tests and the Danzan-ryu tests that I took weren't painful so much as they were physically and mentally demanding. They felt more like running a marathon than surviving a fight. And of course, there was always the possibility of failing in front of a room full of people. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has its own infamous tradition, the belt gauntlet. If you've never seen one, the newly promoted student walks between two lines of teammates while everyone whacks them with their belts. I've walked through a few of those, and I can honestly say that I didn't look forward to them, but afterwards, I was happy that I'd done them. Some BJJ schools also have formal belt tests. They may be a demonstration, or they may be a demonstration under pressure, something like a Shark Tank where the student has to survive multiple rounds against fresh training partners. At my gym, Northside Jiu-Jitsu, we do a Shark Tank. If someone gets Shark Tanked, it happens without warning. By the time you're in the middle of it, you've already been promoted, and that's because the Shark Tank isn't the test. It's simply the ritual that marks the occasion. Promotion standards vary widely from gym to gym. Some schools place a huge emphasis on competition. Others hardly require it at all. Even within the same academy, some students love competing, while others have no interest. Naturally, the people who compete regularly often progress faster because they're constantly testing themselves under pressure. But whether it's a choke, a punch, being thrown, judo, nagewaza, a belt gauntlet, or a Shark Tank, these are all rituals. Rituals are symbolic. They acknowledge struggle. They mark an important milestone. Every time I find one of these old newspaper articles, I'm reminded that there are people nearly a century ago who loved doing the same thing that I love doing today. They debated training methods, they built traditions, they established friendships, they built communities. Some of the traditions they created survived and others disappeared. For example, have you heard of someone being deliberately choked unconscious as part of a promotion ceremony? More recently, I learned that my own instructor's academy no longer does the belt gauntlet. From what I've heard, that's becoming more common. Many schools have moved away from it. I find that interesting. What traditions have disappeared? Which ones have stayed? And what new traditions are being created today? Those are exactly the kinds of questions I hope to keep exploring here on the Martial Archives. And here's a good time to play some bumper music. The next article comes from the Santa Ana Journal from Tuesday, August 31st, 1937. And the headline reads, and I'm going to read the whole article, Kudo conquers Pico with jujitsu jackets on the mat. Experience is a good teacher, they say, yet the wrestling rivals of Keeman Kudo, it seems, will never learn to quit putting on the jujitsu jackets with the mighty might of Japan. Don Oquivo Pico, the Mexican idol, was the victim at the Orange County Athletic Club last night when Kudo caught him in a Japanese choke to win the first fall in 9 minutes 47 seconds. Pico captured the second fall in a much slower time of 25 minutes 37 seconds without the Japanese jackets, but under the terms of the hour time limit bout, was forced to put on the jackets in the third fall because Kudo pinned him in the fastest time of the two preceding falls. Kudo toyed with Pico in the first fall, grabbing the Mexican's white blanket and tossing him all over the center of the ring. Pico resorted to dirty work such as eye gouging and kneeing to win the second fall with body slams. Kudo applied head and arm chokes at the same time, but Pico broke them by biting Kudo, who later in the bout sank his teeth into Pico's hand to repay him for his illegal tactics. End quote. Let's break this down. This is so exciting. So there's a format here, and this is just one of many fights on that evening's cards, okay? But in this bout, scheduled for 1 hour, there will be 3 falls, or read falls as submissions, okay? Best of 3. Okay, 1 hour time limit. The first fall is won by the Japanese, nicknamed the Mighty Might of Japan, Keeman Kudo, and he gets it with a Japanese choke. In the second fall, or the second round, they take off the gi jackets, they go without the gi jackets, and Pico captures that round, takes him 25 minutes, but listen, he's body slamming while the Japanese Mighty Might is trying to armbar and head and arm lock. That's the terminology, head and arm lock. Sounds like an ADCC match where somebody is slamming to break out of a submission. Okay, and bites are used. Now this must be a bit of a, staged bout, right? If they're biting each other, could that be a thing? Were bites ever legal? Finally, in the third round, the Japanese grappler wins it. And is this amazing? Isn't this amazing? I'm inspired to keep researching. I want to find out more of these articles. I want to find out how people trained and what they trained for. And What an interesting kind of competition format, right? First round in the gi, second round no gi, third round depends on who got the fastest submission of the previous two rounds, what they want, gi or no gi. That sounds fun. Okay, well, if you've enjoyed this episode of the Martial Archives, please follow us. And please leave a review if your podcast app allows that. And most importantly, please tell a friend, tell a training partner about us. It will really help the show. And I'll see you next time when I open the Martial Archives.